So when I finished at the gym today, I've got to confess, I was feeling hungry, needed some calories, a little bit naughty. And across the road, believe it or not, from our gym, there's McDonald's. So I nip across and I say, hey, can I have a portion of fries, please? And they said, oh, would you like to try our new soft launch fries? So I was like, sure, okay. So they go away and they come back and give me a potato. Hi everybody, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. I knew this day would come. I didn't realise it was going to come so quickly. I don't think anything's going to really come of it, but this is where we are. This is what happens when the gaming industry gets so greedy, you actually attract the attention of very large government organizations. And we know now for the last few years, the whole loot box and microtransaction debate has been raging in numerous countries now, with some countries like Belgium actually going so far as to outlaw them, to make them illegal. And then some companies like EA being so greedy that they would actually try and fight the country of Belgium, that it was illegal to make loot boxes illegal. Eventually, they backed down. I hope they lost a lot of money to their legal team in the process. But they were so greedy, they wanted to defend their right to sell microtransactions and loot boxes to kids so much, they were willing to take a country to court before they back down. EA, ladies and gentlemen, designed to destroy your children. And then, of course, we had Hawaii, who kicked up a big fuss about it last year, and they got the ESA, the absolutely chocolate fireguard, the useless self-regulating body in the gaming industry, to turn up and defend loot boxes and microtransactions, and they were utterly destroyed. In actual fact, the representative for the ESA was made to look like an absolute fool, like a lamb to the slaughter. He couldn't answer anything. He had no response. But unfortunately, it didn't pass in Hawaii. And there's a good chance that this isn't going to pass. However, it's putting it to the forefront and it's creating the conversation. As loot boxes should be banned, says the US, or a US senator at least. And he is proposing that loot boxes are actually preying on user addiction and exploiting children. And he's trying to get a bill to pass to actually outlaw them. Now, this is going to be very difficult. Countries like mine, Ireland, Australia, which is really quite shocking because Australia are very, very strict when it comes to things like censorship and regulation. However, even Australia have deemed that loot boxes are not gambling. My country, the UK, the same. Ireland across the water, the same, as well as others. Some countries are still looking into it, like Sweden. But it is the conversation that this is now creating. The gaming industry has got itself to such a degree, and the greed has got so out of hand that they are making all these, ridiculous sums of monies, but they are shooting themselves in the foot in the process. Because you have EA, for example, yesterday coming out with a game like Anthem, where they sold 4 million units approximately from the end of February to the end of March, and yet it fell short of expectations by about 2 million units. Any game that sells 4 million units in 6 weeks or so should be very happy about that. No, failed by about 33%. Not good news. And so what do you get from EA? What's their response? Soft launches. Instead of saying this game's finished and we're launching it and having people disappointed, no, we're just going to have a soft launch where an unfinished, unpolished, likely broken, and very likely priced at full whack and having microtransactions and monetization stuffed into it, a la Red Dead Online, a la Fallout 76, and a la Anthem, and say, there you go. And there's no comeback. You can't say this is crap, this is bollocks, because it's a soft launch. We told you we were scamming you, so you can't come at us. We didn't say it was complete. It's not complete. It's a soft launch. Companies like Activision Blizzard, we've had a record-breaking year, a historic year. We're sacking 800 people because they can't sustain them. They can't sustain them. They need to get more money. They need to push it further and further and further. Why? Because a lot of these companies have got shareholders that they need to increase. They need to increase their revenues because shareholders want constant growth. You can't be stagnant when it comes to shareholders, and you can't be losing money because you're not a good investment. You've got to be constantly growing. And so you've got your Activisions and your EAs and all that kind of stuff desperate to come up with the next monetization scheme. How can we exploit people? And then because they're doing it, other greedy companies start licking their lips. We want a bit of this pie. Bethesda. Woo, Bethesda have just joined the party. And then you get games like The Elder Scrolls Blades, a mitigated piece of shit designed for nothing but to take your credit card number. You are not on that game for more than 3 or 4 minutes before it throws you into the microtransaction store. Buy chests, buy, get your credit card out. And then you go to your town that you have to build. And then you suddenly realise, oh no, all the buildings are time gated. And I need real money credits or I have to wait hours upon hours for stuff to be done. Get your credit card out, get your credit. Just a piece of shit. Cheap to make, nasty, virtually no overhead when it really comes to it compared to a game like Oblivion or Skyrim or Morrowind. And designed for nothing more than to rake out your credit card number. I've had a couple of people message me already saying that they've actually started to participate in the alpha process for Call of Duty on mobile from Activision. And they haven't been on the game, they're saying, for more than a few minutes again before it pushes you to the cash shop. That is all they're designed for. That is it. Nothing more. And so they have to trim the fat to get the profit level up, to make sure that those shareholders are happy, to push that share price up. And then you might hit gold when it comes to things like Apex Legends. But even EA in their quarter earnings report a couple of days back would only report on the first 30 days of Apex Legends because afterwards it looked like it kind of fell off a cliff a bit. With the season pass being an absolute dud, with so many people leaving the game because of the bugs and the cheaters and all that kind of stuff. And it went from hundreds of thousands watching it on Twitch to now approximately 20,000-ish, give or take. Round about a tenth of what it was just a couple of months ago. But when the government see all of this profit, when governments see all of this money, and then they hear about gambling, and then they hear about billions of dollars, then they start to get interested. And when you can't regulate it yourself, they'll step in and they'll regulate it for you. So this US senator has said that it's preying on user addiction, exploiting children. We have examples of Candy Crush that he wants to use. Free-to-play game by King. King, of course, who are owned by Activision Blizzard. Where you can purchase $150 bundles of credit so you can get a freaking line of candy. I don't fucking know. And then you have little bits of paper here saying, there's, we've got the University of British Columbia who have said that there is a link between gambling and loot boxes. But the fact is, it's going to be very, very difficult for this to pass. It's going to be very, very difficult indeed for this to pass, because virtually every other country it's been put in front of, it hasn't succeeded. But the thing is, it's now out there. It's getting more traction in terms of people being made aware. And if parents start to become more and more savvy to these behaviors, then there could be at least some pushback as regards to this. And the more people that get educated, the louder the voice will become. But like I said, it's going to be very difficult to pass. But because we see the behaviors of your Activisions and the EAs, because we see these companies shouting out major profits, but at the same time not being able to sustain their own internal employees and structure, something's going to give. And then we know Blizzard Entertainment, they have stressed and even threatened at BlizzCon of last year that going forward, the best developers are being moved to mobile. And they're looking into new geographical areas. Areas like China, where of course microtransactions and loot boxes and monetizations are normal. That's what they want. The normalization of these exploitative aspects. And so we have a system at the moment where we have games doing this, when you have your FIFA Ultimate Teams and all this kind of stuff, and the horror stories of people spending tens of thousands on this bloody game. But it feels so sinister that children are being groomed with exploitative monetizations, with the attempted normalization of gambling mechanics in loot boxes, get them addicted, get them into that mentality so it becomes normal for them. So when it comes to their children, it's normal for those as well. Hey, it's all part of the gaming industry. Whereas the gaming industry seemed to go bloody fine for 30 odd years of just making a game, selling a game, and having the user, the gamer, purchase the game. But as soon as 2005 odd rolled around, and as soon as Microsoft started with those Microsoft points, and as soon as the first horse armors released, then that was it. The gates were open, and greed knows no bounds. And if you look back to 2005, and if you could take a time machine in that year to now, to 2019, and look at the state of the gaming industry, people would be in tears at just how disgusting it's got. Assassin's Creed, a full price game, and you may praise it saying, it's a good game. 7 tabs of microtransactions on day one, including experience boosters, amongst other things. But that's 7 tabs of things which have been pulled out the game immediately to sell back to you, even though they're already created on day one. And you've just spent $60 purchasing that title. 7 freaking tabs. If this isn't exploitation, I don't know what is. And the very fact that loot boxes aren't determined as gambling is beyond me. You have no idea what's inside of them. It is a gamble by nature to discover what is inside. And of course, we already know that EA with the Ultimate Team, when they had to give the percentage chances of what you could get, could only put the chance of getting the best players was under 1%. And there's a lot of freaking decimal points that you could have. A lot of decimal points. Not decimal points, but you know what I mean. A lot of noughts that you can have after 1% before you get to a number. So it's going to be real tough. Let's just be perfectly honest with you here. It's going to be really difficult for this to pass through But the very fact that the conversation is happening in the US is only a good thing, and shines some light on an industry which is almost Ouroboros in nature, eating itself in the desire to get more and more profit, more and more greed. And the sooner it explodes, the better. The better it will be for the industry as a whole. So I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming. Links there in the description box down below. And I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care. Bye for now.